I've been married for 7 years. 7 years of what I thought was a normal, happy life. There were no late nights, no hushed phone calls, no sudden secretive behavior. Everything felt steady, comfortable, and real. So when I found a pair of small, sparkling diamond earrings on our bed one afternoon, my first thought wasn't cheating. It was just ... confusion. I held them up, the light catching the tiny stones, and called out to my husband. "Babe, are these yours? Did you buy these for me?" He was in the bathroom, and he came out, towel around his waist. He looked at the earrings in my hand, and for a split second, he just froze. It was a tiny pause, but it was there. Then a strained smile spread across his face. Yeah," he stammered. "They're yours." Surprise. He tried to act enthusiastic, but the delivery was flat. It felt forced, a daunt. And there was one glaring problem with his surprise. My ears aren't pierced. It's never been pierced. He knows this. We've talked about it. It's been a running joke between us for years that I am too scared of the needle. I just stared at him, holding the earrings. I didn't point out the obvious flaw in his story. I just gave a small, tight smile, said, "Oh, thanks," and tucked them away in my nightstand drawer. I didn't want to start a fight over something I couldn't prove. But a tiny, cold seed of doubt had been planted. That was the first red flag. About a week later, I was doing laundry. As I was sorting the whites, I picked up one of his undershirts. And there it was, right on the collarbone area. A lipstick print. It wasn't red, it wasn't pink. It was a deep, dark purple. It was a bold color, the kind you'd definitely notice. And it was a color I would never, ever wear. In fact, I don't wear lipstick at all, maybe just a little gloss on special occasions. When he got home from work, I held up the shirt. I tried to keep my voice casual, light even. "Hey, what's this?" He glanced at it, and for a moment, he looked genuinely baffled. Then, the same strained look from the earring incident returned. "Oh, that," he said, waving a dismissive hand. "That's just jelly. I must have spilled some at lunch." Jelly on his chest. Who eats jelly with their chest? And what kind of jelly is that shade of purple? It was such a ridiculous, clumsy lie that it was almost insulting. Again, I didn't push it. I just threw the shirt in the wash and tried to ignore the growing knot in my stomach. That was red flag number 2. The signs kept coming, each one more obvious than the last. One night, he came home well past midnight. The moment he walked in, I was hit by a strange cocktail of scents. There was a heavy, sweet vanilla perfume, the lingering sourness of wine, and an overlay of cheap floral-scented lotion. It was a weird combination, and it definitely wasn't his usual cologne. When I asked where he'd been, he said he was helping a coworker move. At midnight? In dress shoes and a button-down shirt. It made absolutely no sense. Moving furniture in your work clothes after midnight. It was another lie, and a lazy one at that. Then came the change in his phone habits. It was subtle at first, but it became a constant. His phone, which used to be left face up on the counter or the coffee table, was now always, without fail, placed face down. The ringer was permanently on silent. All his notifications were turned off. One evening, I asked him about it. "Why is your phone always on lockdown now?" He didn't even look up from what he was doing. "Work privacy," he muttered. "New company policy." Funny how this work privacy policy seemed to start right around the time the mysterious earrings appeared. It was red flag number 3, and this one was a siren. At this point, I knew. I didn't have concrete proof, but the accumulation of lies, the strange scents, the sudden secrecy, it all pointed to one undeniable conclusion. The old me might have screamed, cried, thrown accusations. But this time was different. Something inside me had gone cold and quiet. I decided I wasn't going to give him the satisfaction of a dramatic scene. I was going to be smart. I was going to wait. My opportunity came the following Friday. he announced he was going for work drinks with his team to celebrate a new contract. He got dressed, gave me a quick, distracted kiss, and headed out the door. About 10 minutes after he left, I noticed something on the kitchen counter. His tablet. He never, ever forgot his tablet. It was practically attached to him. My heart started pounding. I knew this was my chance. I picked it up. His phone and his tablet were synced, a fact he'd proudly told me about months ago. I sat on the sofa, the tablet feeling heavy in my hands. I waited, and then it happened. A message banner popped up at the top of the screen. Last night was perfect. Want to come over again? It was from a woman named Clara. I didn't recognize the name. She wasn't a coworker I knew. She wasn't one of our mutual friends. A quick search in his contacts showed she was a brand new entry. My hands were shaking, but my mind was crystal clear. I didn't respond. I didn't delete anything. I simply took screenshots of the conversation, along with her contact information, and emailed them all to myself. Then I placed the tablet back on the counter, exactly where he'd left it. The next evening, I put my plan into motion. I told him I wanted to have a special, romantic dinner, just the two of us, something we hadn't done in months. He seemed genuinely thrilled, almost relieved. He probably thought his lies were working, that I suspected nothing. He dressed up in his best suit, bought me flowers, and all through the drive to the restaurant. He acted like the loving, attentive husband I used to know. It was sickening. We sat at a quiet corner table. We ordered wine. He told me how much he loved me, how he wanted us to do this more often. I just smiled and nodded, playing my part. Halfway through our main course, I reached into my purse. I pulled out the small diamond earrings and slid them slowly across the white tablecloth toward him. He looked down at them, and I watched him swallow hard. His fake smile vanished. Before he could cobble together another lie, I slid his tablet across the table right next to the earrings. The screen was unlocked, open to his messages with Clara. His face turned completely white. He looked from the tablet to me, his mouth opening and closing like a fish, but no sound came out. And just at that moment, as the silence stretched between us, a woman walked up to our table. It was Clara. Her photo was in his contacts, so she was easy to find. I had invited her. I sent her a simple message from a new number. I have something you need to see. Meet me at this restaurant at 8 p.m. Come to the table with the man in the blue suit. She looked from me to him, her expression a mix of confusion and dawning horror. She had no idea he was married. Her exact words, laced with disbelief, were, "You told me you were divorced." My husband didn't say a word. He just sat there, frozen, shaking, his whole charade collapsing around him in a public restaurant. I didn't yell. I didn't cry. My voice was calm, steady, almost unnervingly so. I looked at him, then at her, and said, "The earrings, the lipstick, the perfume. It all makes sense now." He started to stammer out an apology, his hand reaching for mine across the table. I stood up, pulling my hand away. I looked at both of them, two people caught in a web of their own making. "Enjoy your dinner," I said, my voice even. "Both of you. You're perfect for each other." And with that, I turned around and walked out of the restaurant, leaving them to deal with the mess they had created. I didn't look back. That chapter of my life was over. Thank you for listening to my story. If you've ever been in a similar situation, know that you are not alone and your strength is greater than you think. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe for more stories.